What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So, yes, the all NBA teams for the NBA have come out at the end of the season. Not surprised with the total amount. Everybody's going crazy over Joel Embiid, but it's obvious that he's second team because he didn't win the MVP. Jokic did. That's why he's number one. And it's dumb that NBA still does like different positions instead of the five best players, which I hope they go back to. But it honestly doesn't matter even with the whole because if you make some of these teams, you actually get more money. But as long as you make, whether it's first, second, or third, you'll still get your money. So it doesn't matter exactly where you end up. But yes, Jason Tatum, the ex-Duke player and now Boston Celtics, was on the first team. Also, honorable mention, Luka Doncic made the first team as well, All-NBA. So that's pretty cool. Then when it comes to the second team, ex-USC basketball player DeMar DeRozan made it for Chicago. It's pretty obvious he was like the front runner MVP the first half of the year. Kind of slowed down a bit, but yes, at least he got some recognition in the end. Then all third team was LeBron James. He did put up crazy numbers, not only for his age, but just for how crappy the team was at times for the Lakers, and still made the third team, which is pretty good. So overall, it's not that bad. It got at least one player on each thing. It doesn't really mean anything as far as prestige for your team, but overall, not that bad of a season for them, I guess. Then an ex-Utah linebacker, his name is Carson Tabaracci. I don't know how you say his last name, but he went into Utah early, and then now, apparently, he wanted to transfer right away before even his first year started, and has chosen USC, which obviously I'm not mad about because you're able to steal from one of your rivals in the conference. So hopefully he's a good player. I know he was like ranked a 3-star guy out of Utah. So we'll see what he can do, but definitely add some depth to the linebacker position for USC. And when it comes to the Chargers, yes, according to this website, they are apparently the favorites to land Saquon Barkley, even though everybody's pretty much giving me crap on that video that I said the Chargers should trade for Saquon, but you know, overall it might happen, it might not, just in case, because when Austin Eckler, to me at least, was his greatest for the team, everybody wants him to be great solo because he's good fantasy football wise, but when it helped out the team a lot more is when he had Melvin Gordon with him, who was a more true number one back, and that helped alleviate the pressure off of Eckler having to run all the time. So if you get a good running back like that, instead of trying to find a secondary, more like a third or fourth string running back in the draft every year, I think it will help out the Chargers, even more. So we'll see if this happens or not, but we just have to wait. Then ex-Lakers player Slava Medvedenko, I believe that's how you say his name. He was on like the early 2000s teams when they won the championships. It was always pretty funny to see him. It's like, I don't know why. It was just funny to see him. But apparently he's doing a good thing with those Lakers rings that he won. Apparently he's going to be auctioning them off or selling them off to be able to help out his home country in Ukraine, which is obviously a good thing. So glad at least one of these players is helping out that we know of. So that's a good thing to see. Then yes, my favorite Notre Dame Charger, Jerry Tillery. For some dumb reason, he skipped early OTAs, even though pretty much most of the team, even Justin Herbert, a lot of the new guys, Khalil Mack, all those guys are all there as of right this second. But for some reason, he hasn't shown up, and it's not for an injury or anything like that. And I know he's going into the final year of his deal and all this stuff, but he has not played the type of, shown a lot of good stuff to be able to hold out and try to get a brand new contract. He's not one of those good players, so I don't know what he's trying to do. And even like Brandon Staley said the other day that he said Tillery's still trying to establish himself as an NFL player, which to me is always a bunch of red flags. I mean, like, why even bother drafting this guy in the first round? Even during that draft, I never really remembered hearing about him or anything like that. Even the only time I remembered him was when he stepped on a USC player when Notre Dame played at USC and lost at one time. But other than that, I don't remember him flashing or doing anything good at all. And of course, Tom Telesco chose him. I'll probably go through another video of all his great draft picks. Yeah, you do a good pick most of the time in the first round, but even some of those he's been off quite a bit. But Yeah, overall, it is kind of like a dumb situation to even talk about because he's not really worth talking about, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, I guess that's what the Chargers have to deal with, was not a good player holding out from OTAs. It's kind of dumb. Then the ex-USC linebacker, Kanai Malga, who was invited to the Denver Broncos training camp in order to try to make the team, but he's obviously made a great first impression because they've already signed him. I don't know how big the contract was, but at least it has to be at least for 2 years. So that's awesome that he already played well enough. Then again, it just shows how bad Denver was, especially at that linebacker position on defense the past couple years. Not saying anything bad about Kanai, but it is a little bit easier to make the team over there. So anyway, congrats to him. It's an awesome thing. Then when it comes to the last couple games for these players that I've been watching, Jason Tatum, the ex-Duke player, in that game when they were still tied, he put up 31 points, which was nice. But then most recently, yesterday, when they went on the road to Miami, he scored 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists, almost a triple-double, and they got the victory over Miami. So now they lead 3-2 in the series, and pretty much said whoever wins that fifth game usually has the upper hand, because you only have to win one game compared to the other team having to win 2 games to advance to the next round. So most likely it will be the Celtics and Warriors in the finals. Was not hoping for such a finals, but overall, I guess that's what we will be getting when it's all said and done. I think the finals start like June 2nd or something like that. So coming up pretty soon. And then even Luka Doncic, the other game when it was an elimination game because they're down 3-0 to Golden State, he put up 30 points, 14 rebounds, 9 assists, and were able to force a Game 5 tonight in Oakland, which was not surprising because I just assumed Golden State would want to win on their home turf like they did in the Memphis series, where they lost that game before the clinchy one by like 50 or something like that. But overall, it's not a surprise that Golden State lost. It's just like kind of funny that Luka has been scoring over 40 points in the first 3 games they've lost. Now he scores only 30. And they win, so it's kind of weird overall. But yes, good luck to them tonight, Luka and his crew, and hopefully they could get another victory. Then USC football release official time starts for a lot of their football games, or at least 4 of them. So the first 3 games, I believe it's Rice. That first game will start at 3 p.m., so it'll be a nice toasty day, but they're hoping to destroy that team. And of course, since it's not that great of an opponent, they're going to be playing on the Pac-12 network, which sucks. I hate that network because they have to keep it around because of contracts, but it's not like it gets enough money, I believe. But when your team has to play a crappy matchup, USC is usually on there, which sucks. But that's the time start for that one. Then the next week, they go on the road to Stanford, and they play at 4:30 p.m., but they get the middle slot of the ABC game, the afternoon game, which is pretty cool. So you get some type of exposure, but hopefully USC does not falter up there, which they can sometimes. Next game against Fresno State, they start at 7:30 p.m., which would be a lot nicer to go to because it is later in the day during the dog days of summer, and that game will be on Fox. So once again, another primetime game as well, which is good for them. And then later in the year, I think like November 11th, something like that, they play against Colorado on a Thursday, which they haven't had one in a couple of years, but of course they get that. It's at 6:30 p.m. and it's on FS1, so it's not like the top Fox Sports channel, but it is a top Fox Sports channel, but it's not Fox's main channel, but it is Fox Sports 1, so that's still pretty good in my opinion. So at least a lot of eyes will be on it. I'm sure more of these official times will be released soon, so we just have to wait. And the Chargers said that they're going to be testing out a bunch of guys at that right tackle position that they haven't really set anybody to be able to start there as of yet. I know they want to still work out guys they've drafted and have had on the team the past couple years in Trey Pipkins and Storm Norton, because they were the 2 that got the most run at that position last year. And according to Staley, did a pretty good job, but still, I mean, you could tell it was evident for Norton in that last game against the Raiders where he just gave up too many sacks and pressures and all that stuff. But, guys like a Matt Filer, who I don't even know if they still officially signed him or if he did sign a multi-year deal last year, I forget, but I think they said they might try him out there because he did play over there while he was with Pittsburgh, and then they might try out the rookie Jamari Seiler from Georgia as well, move him over there, and because pretty much the center and left tackle, kind of the left guard is set, and that right guard is set with their most recent draft pick in Zion Johnson. So we'll see how this unfolds for them. Then PFF, I have a love-hate relationship with them because sometimes they are correct, sometimes they aren't. But according to their stats and stuff, they believe that both Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack will be like some of the top candidates for Defensive Player of the Year, which is pretty crazy. They are already ranked as one of the top duos in the NFL. It's just going to give a lot of teams nightmares, hopefully. But yeah, to be both top Defensive Player of the Year candidates, that's pretty crazy for two guys at pretty much the same position on the same team. So that's pretty cool. I mean, because obviously, like, Khalil Mack has 76.5 career sacks. Bosa has like 58 career sacks. So, like I said, yes, we're going to put a lot of nightmares in those opposing teams this year, hopefully. Then when it comes to a lot of teams that are maybe trying to trade for Russell Westbrook, they are trying to force or push the Lakers to force in one of their future first-round picks, which is kind of why the Lakers are still hesitant. I mean, they have to be hesitant anyways because they can't legally trade him until he does accept that player option, if he does or does not this year, which he kind of will because it is $40-something million. But yeah, we still have to wait on that. But yeah, it is going to be tough. I mean, they probably will add in that first-round pick depending on who they could get elsewhere from another team. Maybe it's a 3-team trade, but I know they're still talking about Zach LaVine to LA, even though that would be tougher, even if he does get a bigger contract this year, to even measure up to what the Lakers are going to have to end up paying Westbrook, which is like 40-something million. And LaVine's contract could average like a $30 million, but it's only going to count for like half of that this year. So it's a weird type of math behind the scenes that you have to work out. But they say it is possible, only if, because he is obviously an LA guy, went to UCLA, wants to, and has stated that he wants to play with LeBron. So that is one domino there, but it's also that he is a Clutch Sports client, which LeBron James' friend owns as well, who is his agent. But then he has to also force his way to LA to say, I want to be traded, but I only want to be traded to the Lakers, and that's the top and only destination I want to go. It's always tough for teams, but yeah, if you kind of force your way, it could end up working. I know that the Lakers will need, like I mentioned, a third team. A lot of teams that are mentioned are like Indiana, throwing Brogdon, or Charlotte Hornets, who they like Westbrook a lot. In case Chicago doesn't want Westbrook, they could toss him over there and to get something else from him, like Gordon Hayward, something like that. There are many trades the Lakers could do to get a player from both of those teams without involving the Bulls and LaVine if they end up going that way, but that's always a tough thing with you have multiple teams in a trade. And they pretty much, according to this article, they make it seem like it's a drastic thing having to let go of THT. I mean, it's been 4 years already about that. Still haven't really seen an improvement. He makes some weird, crazy, ridiculous shots, and it's like, if, according to him, he needs the ball in his hands so much, and LeBron and his crew kind of force the Lakers to make a move to get him, because he is also a Clutch Sports client or whatever. Like, if he needs the ball in his hands so much, why would he want to go to a team with LeBron James, who always needs the ball in his hands as well? In order for him to improve, according to THT, Taylor Horton-Tucker, in order for him to improve, he needs the ball in his hands, which doesn't make sense, because even when LeBron wasn't in the game or was injured, it's not like he really blew up. Malik Monk blew up, which I kind of hope they're able to keep him on the roster, but it is going to be tough if they try to get a LaVine, something like that, or maybe another big player somewhere else. So it is going to be crazy. But to end off some miscellaneous news, yes, there was pretty much an official kind of first-time poster for Creed 3 showing Michael B. Jordan there, which looks pretty nice for MGM. Pretty cool looking poster, but it's also just cool reading and seeing all the stuff that came out about it. I mean, They haven't really officially said who Jonathan Majors, the actor who's pretty much going to be playing the villain against Creed in here, who he is going to be playing, because it's always kind of been somewhat related to the Rocky franchise. So since this is the third one, I'm kind of hoping they go and get, like, say this is Mr. T's son, because when you look at some of the pictures of when they were filming, this actor looks freaking bulked up like crazy, which is kind of like a Mr. T version in my opinion. But that guy Jonathan Majors is going to have a crazy year, because he's pretty much going to be the next Marvel villain, the next 5 to 10 years, something like that. So yeah, a lot of good things happening for that guy. So can't wait for Creed 3, hopefully releasing this year, later this year. That's all we can hope for. I know they're still working on it. Michael B. Jordan's first directorial debut. It's always, you know, your rite of passage when you're an actor in the Rocky or Creed. When you're the main character, you know, start directing your own movies, kind of like how Sylvester Stallone did. So definitely looking forward to that. Thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.